Hey folks, before each new Last Epoch season, I like to spend some time theory crafting and trying to come up with what I hope ends up being one of the best mage builds for the coming season. The last few seasons, I think we've been pretty successful. We had all the various iterations of Frostclaw builds, and last season the T-Pose Strength Mage, later Flappy Bird Strength Mage, and I don't think this season is going to be any different. Anyway, if you are looking for a strong, probably safe build going into 1.3, just based off the info we have so far, I think this might be the video for you. As always, if you do like this sort of thing, please consider leaving a like on the video and letting me know your thoughts in the comment. It does help immensely. And yeah, let's jump into it. Now, I know I'm a little bit late to the party on this one. This information is not new, but I have done a bit of math, and I think that there is going to be some new tech that hasn't been discussed yet. The main thing here that I want to talk about is this new unique primordial ring and how powerful it might be in certain combinations. I'm sure there's going to be other set changes that we haven't even seen yet, but from what we know about sets, there's already some pretty cool stuff that you can do with this. Now, the main thing on this, obviously you get +1 skills, which is great. All res, all attribute, these are all really good. But the most exciting thing on this item is the counts as a part of every equipped item set. What this means is that you can use sets with item slots that you wouldn't normally be able to use those set items. So here's the list of set items. One example is Vilatria's. I guess we'll jump right into it. So Vilatria's, the helmet is actually mage locked, but the staff is not. So this is an example of something new that you couldn't do before. If you use the Vilatria staff on a non-mage class, you can actually get the Vilatria set bonus on any other class now, which wasn't possible before. There might be some cool stuff. I'll dig into that in another video, but for now, we're going to be talking about the Vilatria set. So there's two ways that you can use it now. You can either use the helmet with the ring, or you can use the staff with the ring. Now, both have different merits. The staff, you can then use, like, for example, Prismatic Gaze, which would be crit. You could do Unity Crest. You could do Mana Stack with the Seed or something like that. There's a lot of different things you can do. But the most exciting combination is using the helmet with a Mad Alchemist ladle. So the ladle multiplies your damage, and it gives you cast speed per intelligence. The set gives you flat damage per intelligence. So the synergy is already like really obvious why that's amazing. You have more multi on all the flat damage you get. You have cast speed, which you're scaling because you have flat damage, and you don't need to use the staff, so you also get a catalyst. So with this combination, you can use a full Vilatria set with the Mad Alchemist ladle, so here, and with an Enigma. Now, your first thought is probably the synergy on Enigma and Vilatria is not great, right? It's kind of negative because you already have 500 flat damage on your spark charges. What's another 100 and something, right? Like, it's not a big deal. But that's what I thought too. But then I did the math, and it's kind of weird. Like, there's some new text here that I think you'll be able to do. So what I'm using here as a baseline, this is a relative comparison. The damage here doesn't include like crit multi or any bonuses from your passive skill tree or like penetration or anything like that. It's all just relative comparison to the current lightning blast damage per cast of the 1.2 build, which is already a really, really strong build, by the way. So this is our baseline. Now, what I have here is like comparisons with Vilatria and also Spark Nova. Now, Spark Nova is a little weird, right? But it has an added damage effectiveness of 100%, and it can also proc spark charges, so you get even more, and they can even chain. A spark charge can proc a Spark Nova, which can proc a spark charge, and so on. The chance is pretty low of like, chaining forever, but it is there. It does give you some damage, and this has the damage effectiveness. The spark charge has the damage effectiveness, and Lightning Blast itself also has the damage effectiveness. So the flat of Vilatria, it's not just getting added to the spark charge, it's getting added to all of your stuff. Your Lightning Blast, your spark charge, your Nova, all of those things are getting the flat damage of the Vilatria set. So it's a lot better than it seems. So you can see here, this is our baseline. So I'm pulling this from the Lightning Blast build of 1.2. So if you haven't seen it, this was one of the strongest mage builds of 1.2. This guide here by Pinching Loaf This has all the information that you'd ever need about this build. So if you do want more info about this, you want to understand how it works, I'm not going to go over all of this here because Wolf already did all that. So I'll put this in the description. Check it out. This is a great guide. But yeah, that's roughly what I'm basing this on, at least for the first draft of this build. Except instead of RuneMaster, I'm using Sorcerer. We'll talk about why here in a bit. But yeah, that's where we're at. So anyway, this is the baseline. So no Vilatria, because you can't use Vilatria with Ladle Enigma in 1.2. No Nova, because there's no real point. You don't have any flat damage. And here's the damage. So you have your flat spell. This is just from the passive tree and from Ladle itself. You have your intelligence here. We're at about 220 something. You have your lightning blast, the amount of hits, all the config here and stuff like that. So you end up with, this is like per hit. So I also calculated the total number of hits per cast. So that's counting the recast, the self-chain, quad cast, double cast. So with this setup, you end up with about 7.5 casts. That's the number I came to. So that's the final damage here. This is per cast of Lightning Blast. Without any multipliers, you're somewhere around 5,100 damage, which is kind of like a base damage number. Your real number is way higher. But yeah, you can see here, probably like 90% of the damage is from the spark charges, because you have no flat on Lightning Blast itself, so it doesn't actually do much. You have one Lightning Blast hit, and you have 0.42 spark charge hits. You get 0.12 from Enigma, and 0.3 from Lightning Blast tree. This also gets multiplied. Factored this. There's a Lightning Blast spark charge multiplier for the damage. But yeah, besides the point, that's all factored in here. So the next thing I tried was if you are you want to use Nova. You just add it, no Vilatria yet, so you add Nova. The Novas can proc back, it can chain, you get the spark charge, but it has no flat damage, so it's not really doing much. So here you have the Nova, you can see the damage goes up. You get 14% more damage by adding in the Nova nodes in the Lightning Blast tree. So that is these nodes here. It's really hard, it's far away. You need a lot of extra nodes actually to go all the way here and grab Spark Nova. Like, this is very expensive. But another thing that we're getting in 1.3 is actually, I guess what some people are calling T8s. So it looks like you can get +6 on your skills. So if you get +6 Lightning Blast, put that on your helmet. And then you get another +1 from the Primordial Ring. You're going to have enough nodes to actually do this. So you take all of the Spark Charge stuff and you also get Spark Nova plus the chain stuff. Like, that's pretty crazy. You're having like a 30-something point Lightning Blast here. Really good stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's where we're at. You have this. And you can see it's not great because we have no flat damage for anything except Spark Charge. So then the next one here, we have just adding Vilatria with no Novas, no nothing. So you just take the same old build, 1.2, and you add the Vilatria set. So now you're getting 43% more damage. Because the Lightning Blast itself, like, sure, it does less damage, it has less base damage than the Spark Charge, but the chance to get Spark Charge is only 0.4. You're doing way more Lightning Blast hits than you're doing Spark Charge hits. So the flat damage on Lightning Blast is actually doing a lot more than you'd expect. And you have damage multis on the Lightning Blast itself, so that's also factoring in here. And you are still getting flat damage on the Spark Charge, so you end up with a pretty big increase just doing that. Where it starts to get really cool is you also have the Sorc Nova. So here you can see we take the nodes in the Sorcerer tree. So that's one of the reasons why I was thinking Sorcerer for this. So here we have Distant Spark, so 40%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but with the amount of hits you're doing and all the added flat damage, plus Ladle multiplying that damage, it's pretty good. So anyway, here we have Vilatria and just the Sorcerer Nova. You can see 40% chance here. You have the flat spell from the Vilatria. You have the Spark Charge hits. We calculate the number of hits. On average, you're getting 0.67 extra hits, I guess. You're getting 0.6 from the Spark Nova because the Lightning Blast itself has a 40% chance, and the initial Spark Charge also has a 40% chance. So boom, there you go. You have your 60% because, like, there's the chaining here, self-chaining. So I calculated to 1 repetition of self-chaining. This could technically go on forever. It could just chain onto itself indefinitely. But for the sake of simple math, I only counted 1 repeat. After this, it gets kind of negligible. But just counting that, you have these numbers here. And then you can see the damage here, 62% higher than our baseline. It's already like pretty big. This is a lot. You can see we're getting an extra about 130 damage from adding the Sorc Nova here. And it's only 40% chance of adding like something that's like generally viewed as crap. But it does a lot. And then we have the next one here. So this is just Vilatria with the Nova in Lightning Blast tree. So this only triggers off Lightning Blast itself, not the other stuff. So it doesn't have the chaining effect. But it has a much higher chance. So you end up here with 75% more damage than baseline. Already, this is really good stuff. And then if you do all of them, you take the Nova, Sorc Nova, you have 140% the Spark Nova. So this is pretty cool stuff. You have all the flat damage from Vilatria. And you can see the total number of hits here. Per Lightning Blast hit, you're getting 1.64 Spark Novas. Because the Spark Charge, because the Nova triggering Spark Charge, which then triggers Nova again, the Lightning Blast triggering the Nova. So that's actually a lot. So all that flat damage you're getting, just for the Novas, it's getting added 1.64 times. For the Spark Charges, you have the Lightning Blast. I calculate this different because this has a multiplier and this doesn't. So you're getting like 0.6 Spark Charges per hit. Like that's not per cast. Per cast, it's, like I said, 7.5 times that. That's a lot. You can see the damage here. The Spark Nova itself is providing 250 of the damage of the 1334. The additional Spark, you wouldn't have gotten anyway. This is also extra damage, another 113. So a huge chunk of your damage here is just extra from this new tech. And you're doing almost double the damage of current baseline just because of this weird chaining, because of the flat damage being added so many times. Now, the old build used RUNEMASTER. And one thing to note about RUNEMASTER, actually, while we're here, currently this node is bugged, Jagged Veil, you don't get the crit multi. If this ends up getting fixed, that'll be a buff to RUNEMASTER. But if it doesn't, then, this is even more reason to go Sorc. But yeah, the main reason for Sorc, the Nova is actually a lot better than initially expected when used in this combination. Ladle plus Enigma plus Vilatria. So this makes this quite good. You also have a lot better mana sustain with this. So with Sorc, you have a little bit more base mana. You have a bit of mana refund. It doesn't do a whole lot. You get some extra flat damage, which when you're hitting this much, does a lot as well. And overall, pretty good stuff. You also get a bit of Ward Decay Threshold, helps your survivability a bit. You are losing the Rare Winds Frostguard on your Runic Invocation, but it's probably okay for everything else you're gaining. It is still, quite a bit. You do get some pretty good crit nodes in here as well, so these are also strong. But the idea with this is you're going to have a little bit less cast speed, most likely. You probably don't have the points for Lightning Aegis, which, Aegis has its own problems, but we have so much cast speed anyway, it doesn't matter that much. And you end up with a lot more flat damage with this setup, so you're still doing like probably almost double the damage versus before. And yeah, that's why Sorc. So as I said, this is kind of like a rough draft. I'll probably do a follow-up with more info on this, but this is where we're at for now. I'll put this planner in the description. Don't take it as gospel. As I said, it's still a rough draft. This is just a theory craft, just throwing some math out there for you guys to play with. As I said, check out the guide from Pinching Loaf. Sub to his YouTube, follow his Twitch, as I believe he's probably going to be playing Lightning Blast from what he said, starting 1.3, probably in hardcore. So definitely follow along. I won't be starting in 1.3. Unfortunately, I have to travel on the 20th, so I'm going to be leaving one day before Season 3 launches. Kind of unfortunate, but, sometimes bad timing happens. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.